Hi everyone, how's everyone doing? So if you're watching this for the first time, my name is Marianne. I'm the owner and the counsellor at Marianne Hanson Counselling Service. And something which I think doesn't get a lot of attention or doesn't get a lot of, I know that there's not been that many videos I've seen about this topic, and that is how you're parenting, how you've been parented as a child, but also how your environment and how you've grown up and been raised impacts on your relationship as an adult, not only to do with when you're parenting yourself, but also just in general. And that's because we can't really escape the blueprint that was set by our parents. We can move away from it, we can review it, we can reframe it, but we can't fully escape from it. And that's because the blueprint that is set by parents is so strong. Now, that's why if a child is removed from their parents at birth or at a young age and they're adopted, the likelihood is that blueprint has got more chance of being replaced by the new parents. But if you've been the longer you're in an environment that doesn't serve you, or with parents that are neglectful, parents that are abusive, the harder it's going to be to then shift towards a more healthy relationship as an adult, but also a more healthy parenting style. So the reason it's important to talk about this when you're in your relationship, it's so important to have conversations with your partner about your upbringing, about your childhood, about the values that you grew up with, about how you were raised. And it's not so that you can both pick apart each other's way of being raised. So it's not saying, oh, well, because your parents were strict, that's why you're strict with our child and you need to change that. It's more of so that your partner can understand you. I know that when I've dated people previously and they've reacted or responded in a particular way, I've not really understood it. So I'll give an example. I was dating someone many years ago and I used to come to see them sometimes after I'd been out for the night. So I'd say, oh, are you awake? I'll come over. I was still in a happy mood because I'd been out, I'd enjoyed myself. But this person was just kind of like bringing the mood down and saying things like, why are you being so loud? And why are you so happy? And it's 2 a.m. or whatever it was. And then so I had to adapt and changed how I was, because I didn't get it, because I thought, well, you told me to come over and you knew it was late and you knew I'd been out. So obviously I'm in a good mood. But there was something about that. Then when they opened up about their childhood, they were constantly criticized by their parents if they were too bubbly, if they were too loud, if they were too bright. It was like, quieten down, shut up. So once I'd understood why they had a reaction to me being like, they used to say to me, you're always positive, he used to say, you're like Pollyanna, you always see the optimistic side, you're not realistic, you're not real. But I think over time, he started to understand that his experiences and how he were raised were then values that maybe he didn't want to have. He didn't want to be this person who has to always look at the really negative aspects of life, always be, brutally honest in that way. Whereas I could then share as well with him that I recognize that my personality or my presentation is triggering you in some ways. So I think when you have children, especially with someone, you really need to look into this, because you could be doing things which have just come from how your parents raised you, but you've never probably stopped and reflected on, is this the way I want to raise my children? Or is the way they raised me, was it right? People have this thing where they feel they have to defend their parents, and it's not about you judging or criticizing your parents. It's about reflecting on the things that you had when you were growing up. Are they still needed now? The way that you were parented is that the way that you want to parent now that you've become a parent yourself. So it is really just a really interesting exercise that you can do, where you can sit together as a couple, where you can maybe just come up with some questions, where you're looking at childhood experiences, where you're looking at memories from childhood, you're looking at what were some of the rules that your parents used to have, what is the best memory you can think of when it comes to when you were a child. Something like that will help you to connect and help you to understand each other. So let me know what you guys think. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Thanks for watching. Bye.